What's up?
Okay, when you have something like this, the Khabib situation, it falls apart. Explain all the moving parts that are going on when you're trying to figure out.
It's the worst thing that can happen, especially on the day that it happened. You know, it's the not so fun side of the business, but it happens, and you know, bad as it stings and as bad as it hurts, I just got to roll with it. You know, what are you going to do?
We see a whole bunch of fighters kind of throwing their name into the hat.
And I respect that. So many guys have stepped up. My last text was from Josh Berkman. Like, I'm 10 pounds off, I'll make the weight, and you know I'll make it exciting. And I love when guys do that, and I respect it. You know, but you have to put yourself in Tony Ferguson's situation. He's fighting for the title. Obviously, a lot more money in it. You know, number one versus number two, the whole deal. The fight already was supposed to happen one time and didn't. Now it doesn't happen again. You know, he's in a bad place, you know, mentally and emotionally. Physically, he's in a great place. But if you don't have the other two, physical means nothing. So I don't blame him, and I feel bad for him.
Is it a foregone conclusion you should try to put this match on somewhere down the road?
I guess so. I mean, right here, right now, I don't know. This reminds me of Jones-Cormier, you know, the fight that is always supposed to happen but never happens. So I don't know. I don't know what to do next. I got to see what happens tomorrow and go from there.
For us about the health state of the Khabib. You know,
Yeah, Khabib's okay. Obviously, he was in the hospital for a while. You know, when you get dehydrated like that, it's about replenishing and you know, he had a few bags of IV and was treated, so he'll be okay. But you know, it's never that whole weight cutting thing when you don't do it the right way. It's dangerous.
Dana, let's talk about George St-Pierre's return against Michael Bisping. Once the deal was done for him to come back into the UFC, how easy was it to make the fight with Michael?
Yeah, it was easy. I mean, they were all, you know, there was the fight that they both wanted, so that made it very easy to make the fight.
Is it fair that Mike's getting criticised for dodging title contenders when he was offered this fight and you know he'd want to take it?
People are always going to talk, you know. Michael Bisping said it out there on the stage today, and he was absolutely right. The guy's never turned down a fight, and he did tell me, I want this GSP fight, obviously, because it's a big fight. It's an important fight for him. And he did say, I'll turn right around and fight Romero. He said it today. He said he respects Romero. He knows Romero's tough and scary, and he'll take the fight.
I know GSP's not revealing too much about what comes after this fight, but how long are you expecting him to be back for?
I think it's all going to depend on how this fight goes for him, you know. I'm not a big fan of 3-year layoffs, especially at his age. You know, the Korean Zombie threw a whole monkey wrench in my 3-year off. You know, hey, anything is possible, so we'll see what happens.
And you didn't think he would come back, that George would come back. You thought it wouldn't happen. What was the turning point for you when you believed that, no, this guy wants to fight again?
Listen, I know fighters. I know guys who love to fight and girls who love to fight. George, none of that. Everything about George St-Pierre struck me as he didn't want to fight. Then we got together, we had dinner, then we had breakfast. Isn't that cute? And it all worked out, and I believe that he did want to fight. He brought the two right people in to get the deal done, and we got it done.
Were any other names thrown into the hat as to who he might fight?
Yeah, I mean, listen, George St-Pierre left the champion, and for him to come back, you know, I felt he had to face a champion. You know, as we all know and we have seen, there are no tune-up fights in mixed martial arts. Everybody is tough, everybody is scary, and everybody can win on any given night. You know, so it was either, the reality is, and this is the truth, when I got this deal done, I wanted a fight. I wanted a fight to announce. I wanted to, and we don't know what's going to happen with Woodley, and you know, I mean, look at what happened with Khabib and Tony. Imagine if I had something set up for after that. You just don't know.
What about big names and big stars? When you look at the UFC and some of the biggest names in the organization, does it come down to just biggest fights opposed to who's deserving, who's in the rankings? Because
everybody, listen. I'm getting tired of the term money fights, okay? I want the money fights. I want the money fights. What, are you all going to move down and fight Conor? Listen, there's no bones about it. Conor is the guy. Conor brings in, you know, big gates, big pay-per-view numbers and everything else. Shut up if you don't. If you're not him, shut up, okay? You know, guys are talking about money fights. I'm like, you're not a money fight. Okay? You're not a money fight. You're going to make whatever you're going to make, and if you're a good champion and your fight sells, you're going to do pay-per-views, and you're a partner in the pay-per-view. If you're not that big pay-per-view star, shut up and fight.
Rankings are losing.
He obviously had the weight cutting issue. We've had the Hendricks have weight cutting issues in the past. Would you ever consider a 165-pound division and moving welterweight up to 175?
See, I wouldn't say that Khabib is a guy who's been a weight-cutting hazard for us. He really hasn't been. He's had some injuries and everything else, and you pointed out to me earlier that he did miss weight once. I don't know where to go from here. I don't know what to do. I got to see how this whole thing plays out.
Well, it's a new weight class is what I'm talking about, though. Like a 165 and moving welterweight up to 175. Would that ever be a consideration?
I was trying to beat around the bush, saying no.
Fair enough.
You didn't understand it, though.
What was your reaction this morning when you heard from Khabib's camp?
They hit me at 4 a.m. My reaction was, this fight's over. I'm going back to sleep. I didn't want to be up at 4 a.m. sick. Then when I got up later, I was driving down Sahara and I was suicidal. It was not a good day for me.
Are you doing okay now? Are you still suicidal?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then I show up here and Bisping's not here and nobody can find him, and that's the way my day's going.
You got nice shoes on.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
With GSP and Michael Bisping deal, do you think that Jacare and Romero could be a possible fight for a co-main event?
I don't know. It depends on. Listen, I got to fight for Jacare. Jacare is going to be fighting soon. So we'll get Jacare busy. We'll see what Yoel Romero wants to do. I'm a big advocate of, if the fight you wanted doesn't happen, yeah, you should keep fighting. You make money, you stay relevant, you keep your name out there, and if you truly believe you're the best in the world, what do you care anyway?
So what we can expect for that fight that you're thinking?
Let me get it done first, and then I'll tell you.
You've said International Fight Week would be ideal in July for GSP and for Michael Bisping, but would you consider a venue outside of Vegas? I don't know, back in England or even in Canada?
No, it'll be here in Vegas. When they fight, it'll be here in Vegas. This is the place everybody wants to go. Listen, George St-Pierre wins, yeah, we'll bring him back to Canada.
Will you be in London in a few weeks' time?
I might be. You know what I'm doing? I'm actually going to take Bisping and GSP and do a whole media tour around, do press conferences up in Canada and all the major cities up there. And maybe we'll go to England too.
Any thoughts on the main event? There's had some criticism in London, Jimmy Manuwa, Corey Anderson, probably because we had such an iconic fight with Anderson Silva and Bisping last year.
Listen, you can't win them all. Jimmy Manuwa was your guy. He's ranked number 4 in the world. He's your guy. He's possibly the next guy to fight for a title shot. And Corey Anderson is nasty and very, very tough. So listen, Jimmy Manuwa is going to fight this fight in the UK. He's ranked number 4. Then I'm yanking him out of the UK and I'm going to bring him over to Las Vegas to fight here. And he's literally right in the mix for a title fight. So this is a big fight for him, and it's a big fight for the UK. This is your guy.
Yeah, it's our guy. And obviously Brad Pickett, his final fight. Any words on Brad?
I love Brad Pickett. He's always a fun fighter. He's a great guy to be around. He's a trailblazer for MMA in the UK, and I could go on for days talking really nice things about him. I love the kid, and I'm happy to see him fighting his retirement fight with us.
John Jones could come back in the summertime. Have you talked to him, and what's the time frame for one of the pound for?
To John yet, but obviously, we'll see how this goes. I'm excited to have him back, if I can actually really have him back. The John Jones, the freak of nature, the phenom, the most talented guy to ever step in the octagon. If I get that guy back, I'm excited.
Have you had I'm sure you've had conversations about where you're at, what you need to do, how to keep yourself grounded as an athlete, as everybody considers this guy one of the pound-for-pound best. What is that dynamic between employer and superstar athlete?
Ever since this thing blew up, I haven't talked to him since. I have not talked to John Jones. When John Jones's suspension is up, we'll see where he is physically, mentally, and what he's thinking and where he's at. And if he's committed to coming back to the UFC with no more problems, then I'm ready to roll.
Thanks, Dana. We appreciate it.